Hello and welcome back for another video on ARK Survival Ascended. It's the day that another ARK Editions creature comes to the base game, converting from a modded creature to vanilla creature, introducing the Helicoprion. There's no doubt in my mind that it will be a great creature to own for all those ocean goers, and potentially a new loot goblin's best friend. It is around the size of a megalodon, however you'll be happy to know that it does not share their aggression levels, and has a much calmer temperament. It pretty much poses zero threat unless provoked. Firstly, I do want to mention that if you are or were currently using the ARK Editions mod for the Helicoprion and have some tames that you want to keep, then you will need to keep the mod installed, as the modded version and vanilla version will count as two completely different species. Garuga, the mod developer of all the ARK Editions creatures, has implemented a feature in the past with some of the previous ARK Editions creatures that came to the game, where you can convert them from modded to vanilla and vice versa via the creature's radial menu. This was present with the Ceratosaurus and the Deinosuchus, however some like the Helicoprion and others did not receive this feature, so fingers crossed that this will be included with the Helicoprion. I personally don't think it will be, but I did want to give you all a heads up just in case. So the first thing you'll be wanting to know is where to find them. Well, for spawn locations, you'll not be surprised to know that the Helicoprion reclusively lurk in open waters of the Ark's ocean environments. So they will spawn anywhere that has an ocean, therefore will not spawn on scorched earth, aberration, or extinction as far as I am aware. For equipment, I definitely recommend bringing a scuba tank and maybe a couple of spares just in case, a pair of scuba flippers so you can get around quicker when swimming, and an aquatic or semi-aquatic mount of your preference to ride. I personally like to use the Baryonyx or the Deinosuchus, but prefer the Baryonyx because they are easy to use and don't have a large AoE attack, so it is a bit easier to use if you need to fend off any threats without risking hitting the Helicoprion. But you can honestly use anything you prefer to ride, and of course you'll need to bring all that standard gear that you take around with you whenever you're out exploring. Their preferred taming food is the new consumable known as Little Ratfish Treats. In the mod, you used to have to unlock the engram to be able to craft this item, but in vanilla this is simply done through a cooking pot or industrial cooker. You'll find it listed in the kibble section in your cooker. You'll be needing 10 ammonite bile, 6 giant bee honey, and 4 Tuso tentacles, which is just to craft one, so they aren't the easiest thing to make. You will also need to bring a bunch of loot along with you. This loot does have to be of any quality looted from drops, and not anything primitive you have crafted. So for example, you could even use a primitive pickaxe at 102% damage that was looted from a drop, and it will still chomp on it to initiate the taming process. Quality does not matter, it just has to be loot better than primitive crafted. Hopefully I'm making sense. I did also test crafted items from blueprints, and these did also work too. This leads us on perfectly to the taming process. Once you have found your desired wild level, then you are ready to tame it. As you can see from my inventory, I've brought along a load of loot. These were all just metal tools and stuff I had lying around the base from killing alpha predators, but you can use anything you don't want. Another thing to note is that unlike most passive tames in the game, you do not need to place the ratfish treats in your final hotbar slot. These can just be stored inside your inventory and you will still be able to feed it. You can also consider clearing out the area beforehand, especially if the waters are relatively hostile. It will just make the taming process a little easier, which is exactly what I did here before hitting record. Be sure to set your mount to high follow distance, whistle it on passive and have it on follow, so that it sticks close by while taming. So it does have its own unique passive taming method. What you want to do is swim on up to it and drop a piece of loot from your inventory into the water. This will cause it to go into some sort of frenzy, where it will head straight for the loot and begin chowing down on it. During this state, you can then proceed to mount it. This will then initiate a minigame. Oh yay! Don't we just love a good old minigame in ARK to tame things? Anyway, you will now receive button prompts on screen that you have to follow and press to stop the Helicoprion from dismounting you. After 7, 8 or 9 successful rounds, you can then feed it with either E if playing PC, Y on Xbox and triangle on PlayStation. It will then kick you off and the taming bar will increase, and you pretty much rinse and repeat the process until it is tamed. So a few things to note while taming: a level 150 on 1x taming rates, needed 10 ratfish treats and increased the taming percentage to just over 10% per feed, so you will need at least 10 to tame a max level on 1x rates. This also means that you're going to need at least 10 separate pieces of loot to feed it. If for some reason you fail to press the corresponding button prompts on screen and you do get dismounted, it will become aggressive, which could end badly for us, as it does have a tail stun attack similar to the Baryonyx, but if you are under equipped or have no levels in fortitude, this could potentially knock you out in an instant, which is probably the last thing you want to happen underwater. If you do get dismounted Granted, while taming, the taming bar will also slightly decrease. However, this does not seem to alter the taming effectiveness at all. So it is best to bring more ratfish, treats and loot than what you think you will need. I always say that in ARK, it's always better to be over-prepared than under-prepared. And if you are wondering what the stats of a perfect tame level 150 looks like, here you go. Surprisingly, it has quite a lot of health. I was not expecting that, but pretty strong stats across the board. Great weight stats, good stamina, blah blah blah. Once tamed, the saddle can be unlocked at level 91, which looks amazing by the way. There's definitely a lot more detail going on here as opposed to other vanilla creature saddles. Also, that pretty saddle isn't just for show. This will be the first aquatic creature in the game where the saddle acts as a portable smithy. So just like the Argentavis, you can use it to craft and repair items on the go as you please. Seemingly also sharing similar weight reductions as the Argentavis, giving massive weight reduction on a variety of heavy resources, which does include metal ingot, crystal, obsidian and black pearls, just to name a few. As stated previously, it is around the same size as a megalodon, being slightly longer but a little slimmer. Swimming speed, maneuverability and agility wise, it also feels very similar to the megalodon. However, it can go into two different swimming stances like the Deinosuchus: surface swimming or free swimming when submerged, which can be switched between when pressing the crouch button. It gains a constant passive movement speed bonus when surface swimming, which will also last for 20 seconds when switching to free swimming mode, so it is a great traversal ocean mount. It does also have many more tricks up its sleeve. Of course, it has a regular bite attack when pressing the primary attack button. This is also directional depending on which direction you face the camera, a little like the Deinosuchus's regular bite attack. This attack deals average damage. Its secondary attack consists of a tail swipe attack which deals slightly more damage, however can be pretty lethal to targets. Similar to the wild Helicoprion, this can temporarily stun and inflict torpor to targets. This does also seem to scale with melee damage, meaning that you can easily knock out even the biggest of threats. It's pretty crazy how much torpor this actually deals. When pressing the crouch key, it takes a page out of the Basilosaurus's book by diving out of the water in style. Of course, this is just for cosmetic purposes and has no effect, but it looks cool, which is all that matters, eh? It does also have some extremely useful passive abilities at its disposal. One where it is fully immune to the ammonite pheromones and will also deal increased damage to them, making them great for harvesting the small amounts of resources that they drop, which includes chitin, black pearls, silica pearls, oil, and of course ammonite bile. It is also one of few that is fully immune to the Two-Fist grapple attack, also dealing massively increased damage to them, while also receiving less damage from them too. And finally, another awesome passive, it is also completely immune to the Tuso's ink, so no getting blinded and slowed, which will make them great for hunting Tusos. But of course, its main ability that most people will be familiar with is the ability to use its saw-like jaws to grind up items into blueprints, which might actually be the only reason why someone would want to tame one, because let's be honest, this ability is kind of one of a kind. It of course is not guaranteed that you will get a blueprint every time. However, the Helicoprion does also have a success rate stat, which can be leveled to increase the success rate of converting items to blueprints. And it's simple: stick a high quality item inside its inventory, click on the item and select the option to convert to blueprint. It will then do its thing, even giving you a timer on how long it will take to convert it. You then have to cross your fingers and hope for a blueprint. And voila! If successful, you will see a prompt at the top of your screen and there will now be a blueprint of that item inside its inventory. And you can make that item as many times as you want. Sadly, if the conversion fails, you'll be greeted with an interesting sound and a fail message at the top of your screen. The item will also be lost forever, so it can potentially be quite a risky move, but it will be a highly beneficial one if luck is on your side. And that's pretty much all there is to know about the Helicoprion, which will close out the video. Hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did or found it helpful in any way, please don't forget to like, comment, share around and subscribe for more. I am trying to hit 75k subs by the end of the year, so I would really appreciate all the support, and I'll catch you on the next one. Take care, goodbye.